We turn the tables, lemons to lemonade. Host of our own show, the light won't fade. With every challenge, we rise above the fall. See the silver lining, standing tall through it all. We turn the tables, lemons to lemonade. Host of our own show, the light won't fade. With every challenge, we rise above the fall. See the silver lining, standing tall through it all. We turn the tables, lemons to lemonade. Host of our own show, the light won't fade. We turn the tables, lemons to lemonade.
Good evening. Welcome to episode 4 of Turning the Tables with Inez Knows, and I am Inez. So, first of all, just a few housekeeping things. We'd like for you to get involved and join the discussion with us. And the way that you can do that is put your questions and comments into the chat, and we'll try to get to them. Also, make sure to subscribe, and we're about to have a really meaningful conversation on a great topic. So, turning the tables, this show or this podcast is about taking things that can be difficult or challenging and finding good or triumph and victory out of what can be difficult situations. So May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so this month we're talking about mental health is essential. Mental health is a topic that is near and dear to my heart. Right now, with the way that the world is, there's a lot of stress, grief, fear, and just a lot going on. Like they say, life be lifing. So, um, we want to make sure that we're able to know when to get help, know how to get help, how to help those who need help, those that we care about, and just know that um, it's okay to need help and to have challenges with everything that's going on. People are dealing with a lot of overload, a lot of information, a lot of fear, and we want to make sure that everyone's properly equipped with the right resources before a crisis happens. We want you to know that you have support, that you're not alone, and that you can overcome obstacles, that going through these kinds of challenges are temporary. So, and also, or they can be temporary, but that there's support and you're not alone and you're here with a purpose. And the healthier we are as individuals, the healthier our homes can be, and also the healthier our communities and our world can be. So, I just wanted to, I have a few special guests, and the first guest that I have is Miss Toni Gooden. She is a licensed marriage and family therapist. Welcome, Toni. Thank you for joining me today.
Hello, Inez. Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. Excuse me. Um, so can you share a little bit about what you do, what a licensed marriage and family therapist or LMFT? Because sometimes we see those words, but we don't know exactly what they mean. Can you tell us what that looks like or what that
Okay.
is?
Well, in a nutshell, I provide therapy for families, couples, children. That is my scope of practice. However, it goes even beyond that. So I've worked in mental health now for about, I guess it's 12 years now. And I started with drug and alcohol. So I did counseling for those that were either coming out of prison, those that were struggling with um, opioid addiction. So it was in a methadone clinic. So I did therapy from beginning to end. Okay. So I did that for about 2.5 years. And then I went into Ventura County Behavioral Health, where I did assessments, diagnosis, and referral. And in that arena, it was just kind of finding out what the individuals were going through, doing assessments so that I could send them to the proper treatment clinic. I went from there to severely mentally ill that were resistant to treatment. And in that arena, it was also dealing with court ordered clients that might have been court ordered to participate in treatment because they were resistant. They did not want treatment. They were in the community, or family members would refer them because it was a lot of issues that they were going through, but they did not have insight that they needed help. So we would be the ones to go after them to make sure that they got treatment, even though most of the time they were resistant. So I went from there, and now I am doing actual therapy with Ventura County employees. So, in a nutshell, I do therapy.
Wow, you have a lot of experience.
Mhm.
That's such a wide
Almost,
array and it's so needed.
mhm. And I do want to emphasize too that when I was with the uh, program where the clients were resistant, I also had to go out and make sure that they got the help they need, which means I had to do 5150s. What that
Mm.
is that they were a danger to themselves or a danger to others, and I had to make sure they were hospitalized. So that was another caveat, which a lot of us in Ventura County are certified to write 5150 holds.
Wow. Wow, that's such important work, like for the individual. I know that has an impact on families, it has an impact on the community. It's really a big deal. So
Mhm.
thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm sure that having that experience and that knowledge when it comes to substance as well, also helps with all the other therapies and all the other things that you see, because it's like
Mhm.
one can affect another, right? Um,
Absolutely. And in most cases, those that are experiencing mental health symptoms are also dealing with substance use. Okay, so a lot of times they just go hand in hand. And we're trying to work with those with the mental illness, but the substance abuse sometimes overpowers it. And it is more of a self-medication. So then they feel like, oh, I'm doing okay. I don't really need services. So they use the substance abuse instead of actually getting the help that they need.
wow. Yeah, we do see a lot of self-medication, right? And then um, denial, and that impacts, like I heard the saying is that substance abuse or alcohol abuse is a family disease. It's not just the person, but it impacts like everybody else around that it touches. So not only is the individual going to be affected, but this is also going to affect the individual's loved ones, their family, their work, and everything else, right? It's like a trickle down effect.
Absolutely.
Yes. Thanks for bringing that up. That definitely like is an important factor that I didn't even think we were going to touch on. Um, would you be able to share some statistics, some mental health statistics, for right here in the community that we live in?
Well, like I said, I work for Ventura County Behavioral Health. So in that arena, in 2022 through 2023, there was 17,764 people that actually were participating in services. Okay. Now this year, they have the programs have kind of evolved to what they called full service partnership, and that's like a wraparound service. And so it's more what they call managed care. And so there's 682 people that have enrolled this year. So people are utilizing. There's probably more that need to, but as far as Ventura County, the help is there, and people are utilizing it. It's just, you know, knowing what is available. And this
Right,
can help that.
right. Thank you. Um, so I was going to share, I had my own battle with depression in 2013,
Mhm.
and ended up having to go to therapy. Therapy was very helpful. Um, I advocate for people to get help, whatever that therapy may look like. But so I ended up going to talk therapy, ended up finding out that it was like a medical issue and medication that was onset all of my issues. But um, it definitely made a difference. It lasted months. It was ongoing, um, for weeks and weeks, it felt like, but it definitely was very helpful to me. So it seems like a lot of people are more open to discussing the fact that they're seeing a therapist or that they're getting help, that they're getting therapy. Like this next generation, it's not uncommon. But if somebody was considering going and seeing a therapist, or um, what how does it work? How does it help? Like if they have no idea and there's a little bit of fear there, but they know that they need some kind of help, they're just hesitant. What could you say to encourage them, to let them know it could be beneficial to seek therapy?
Uh, First of all, when it comes to therapy, what they have to realize is that we have a lot of things that's bottled up inside of us. And a lot of people do not realize that just getting it from within here and out here is what can help them now realize that there is an issue. A lot of times people are going through depression, anxiety, and they don't know where it's coming from. But when they actually get the opportunity to talk to somebody, and somebody who is more of a professional can give them some insight on what is going on with them. Where did it come from? How did it evolve to this? Every single person, as an adult, usually have some kind of childhood issues that went into their adulthood. And knowing this, and knowing that you can get past these issues if you first acknowledge that there are issues. When you're not talking to anybody, you're not acknowledging that there's issues. And then talking to somebody that can help you through the process, especially if you've had trauma and you've had different issues from your childhood or even as an adult. Talking to somebody can help you get there. Um, they're not the all knowing, but at least it gives you some direction. And sometimes you're able to come up with some insight on your own, with the therapist just kind of helping push you along. So in trying to find a therapist, sometimes that can be a little challenging. And what I always tell people is, don't if the first therapist doesn't work, don't just give up. Find somebody that you can build a good rapport with, because building rapport with a therapist is the number one key to effective therapy. I hope that answers your question.
Oh, that's so true. Now you brought up so many good points. A trained professional, right? Because even though people may have support, it could be your friends, it could be your family member, but they have direct stake in what's going on with you, right? And sometimes they may be the issue or be contributing to it. And so it's great to have a neutral party and somebody who's trained, and they're
Impartial.
not going to, yeah, they're impartial. Exactly. And then I also like how you said to take an opportunity and get to know the person. Like, don't give up on the first one. I had that happen with me. And
Mhm.
I say it's like online dating, which is interesting because now there's like growth therapy and BetterHelp, and we're not promoting anything or endorsing anything here, but you have an opportunity to look at somebody's bio, look at what they specialize in, see their pictures.
Exactly.
You get to choose, like, if they have the same spiritual beliefs as you, if you want a male, a female, somebody of a certain ethnicity. So there are a lot of options out there to try to get a good feel of what's a good match for you, right?
Absolutely. And I do some online therapy. I'm with a particular program. And I've had people that have come to me that were with other therapists that it didn't fully work out. Maybe their spiritual beliefs weren't in
Mhm.
line or whatever the case was, and they found me, and it kind of clicked. So definitely you want to find somebody that you really can build a rapport with, and it clicks, because it's difficult to talk to somebody if you just they don't really understand, or they just are not there with you, and you're like, they don't get me. I don't want to do therapy anymore. Well, no, that's not the answer.
That's so true. That's such a good point. Thank you so much, Tony. I really appreciate that. So now we're going to bring Tony back on at the end. But now we're going to bring on Patricia Cortez Washington. And Patricia Cortez Washington, she is, well, I know her personally, and we went to school together. So it's amazing to kind of we haven't been in touch in many, many years. I'm not going to say how old we are, but it's amazing that she's doing this work in the mental health and wellness arena, because it's something that I'm passionate about. And so, um, oh, are you on your phone, Patty?
Yeah, is that a, am
Can
I
you turn
okay?
your phone sideways? Sorry, I was sent a message. There we
Good.
go. Yay.
Good, good. Okay, cool.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Sorry. Um, so, um, Patricia is, good evening. I'm like seeing people pop up here. So Patricia is a licensed clinical social worker, and she also has a wellness center called Semillas that opened up in Ventura. So, Patty, sorry, I want to tell you, Patty. Um,
No,
can
that's
you
it.
share
Yeah,
us?
that's
Can you
perfect.
share with us what you do, and your new wellness center in Ventura?
Yeah, yeah. No, first of all, thank you for having me. This is such a wonderful opportunity and such a much needed conversation. I'll start with a little bit of what Tony touched on. So she's a licensed marriage and family therapist. And like her, licensed clinical social workers can also practice therapy. So that is my license type. And I got into the field. It's been 25 years that I've been in the field, working in nonprofits, working in healthcare, working in supporting individuals in the community in other ways. And now we're here. We're fully developing this center, right, which is Semillas. It was established in 2018. And Semillas means seeds. So we're really planting the seeds of health and wellness in ourselves, in our families, in our communities. And really, what that stems from, first, it's a an ode to my parents who were farm workers. And so I really feel like I've always been attached to the land. And a lot of the self care practices that I saw in my family, and in my abuelitas, really stemmed in that connection to the land and to nature, right? And so now when we talk about the stigmas around mental health, I really want to put that on its head, because we actually, in our communities, we don't have necessarily stigmas around mental health. I think that we have some systems that aren't properly serving our communities. But I think that there are some really wonderful practices that we're already doing. And for myself, it's really tied to the land. And so what we strive to do is support folks in a culturally rooted way, centering land practices so that we can support ourselves. Because I think there's a beauty in what we call plática therapy. So really just shifting that narrative, right? Because we have this idea of talk therapy, but long before we had talk therapy, we had plática. We sat around with each other, we connected. Um, and that really is what mental health is, right? There's so many practices that are rooted and connected to culture, to community, to connection, and so that's what we really want to bring back as part of Semillas. So we have wellness workshops. We do one-on-one therapy, couples counseling. There's a bit of work that I do, which is a part of immigration processes. Certain immigration processes require psychological assessment, and so we do that as well. And we've been really fortunate to partner with local schools and Ventura County Behavioral Health as well, to bring about these wonderful workshops under Sembrando Bienestar, which is a grant that we have where we're offering services that are centered around the land, and they're 1 day workshops, right? They're a couple of hours because not everybody's ready to take the deep dive into talk therapy, right, or plática therapy. That it takes a lot to get there, but for a lot of folks, I think we can all benefit from having a couple of hours to ourselves, right? To really replenish, to reconnect. And that's really what we strive to do, to really build the different points, so that folks are served in whatever way they're open to, right?
Right. That's awesome. And there's something to be said, like you talk about connecting to the land, being out in nature, like they say, simply going to walk and being in green areas or next to the water, you can literally feel how that makes your emotions or your mind, or it helps you clear your mind. People say that all the time, just to step away and get out there, right? So we have a connection that's there. And I think there's a lot of evidence that shows that in the health arena, physically and mentally.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think, not only does it feel good, there's science backing that up. That when we connect our feet to the dirt, our hands to the ground, we really get those feel good endorphins that really support us. So it's not a standalone, right? Because there's really a range of supports that folks can benefit from, but this is just one tool, and it's definitely very, very useful.
Right. That's awesome. I love how you brought that up. It's the endorphins, right? And it's natural. So if somebody wanted to, how could they get involved in the workshops or activities that you guys have there at Semillas?
Yeah, so they can go on to our website. It's semillaswellness.com /events. We're having a men's circle coming up on July the 7th. And we're also having El Jardín, which we dub a wellness pachanga, because in these times we're all trying to work it out. We're experiencing so much anxiety, depression, disconnection, right? Fear, grief, all of these things. But part of managing these things is also stepping into joy, right? And stepping into connection. So El Jardín, our wellness pachanga, will be offered on July the 27th, which is a Sunday. It's free. We're going to be having a wonderful keynote speaker, Dr. Jaya John, who's a poet, an author. We're going to be having some mindfulness practices, panel discussions, food, music. And so we hope that everyone comes out. It's going to be a celebration of community and mental health.
Oh, I love that. And I love how you brought up um, joy, right? Like getting back to joy and finding joy. I think sometimes we have to, one of my personal practices is when I'm feeling really low, I unplug, but I try to find things. And I think people do it because they're sending each other memes all the time. But I usually like to watch something light or a comedian or I'm around music and things that just bring me happy to kind of help spark those things. I mean, I say I went to 3 funerals last month. Like that was heavy. And um you've got to find a way to bring balance or you can easily, and I think I wanted to talk about that. Maybe I will on the panel, but it's normal to grieve, but it can be easily to sink into a dark hole. And that weight, it can, especially when things come back to back to back, can just get you down. So I thank you for bringing up the joy part, because sometimes we have to find it, we have to look for it, and we have to fight hard for it, but it makes a difference. Um, so thank you, Patty. We're going to go ahead and go into a couple of ads, share some resources, some local resources that we have right here in our community when it comes to mental health. And the first one we have is for Nicole Cortez. Okay, so Nicole offers therapeutic support for women navigating issues such as anxiety, depression, and life transitions using evidence-based approaches. She is trained in eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, which is EMDR, and cognitive behavioral therapy, which is CBT. That information, Nicole's information is there, and we'll also be putting the information up on my Instagram. And next we have Hope and Healing Marriage and Family Therapy. So at Delene's Hope and Healing, we offer a safe, supportive space to navigate life's challenges. Using evidence-based therapies like CBT and family systems, we tailor to care for your unique needs. Our holistic, client-centered approach honors mind, body, and spirit. We're here to guide you with compassion and clarity. Healing begins here. Hope lives here. You are not alone. There's another therapist. And then we'll have a commercial for you, but let me share a little bit about the next one. It's called Stone Healing. At Stone Healing, we provide compassionate residential care for individuals navigating mental health challenges. Our serene and supportive environment fosters healing through professional therapy, holistic wellness programs, and a dedicated team that truly cares. Whether you or a loved one need a safe space to heal, rebuild, and grow, Stone Healing offers a path forward grounded in dignity, respect, and lasting support. Stone Healing, because everyone deserves a strong foundation for a better tomorrow. And we have a brief commercial from them.
Welcome to Stone Healing in Ventura, California. Stone Healing is a 6-bed mental health residential facility. We're in a gorgeous 2-story home, and we have 5 bedrooms and 6 bathrooms. We have a spacious backyard. There's a lot of privacy in this location, and it's the perfect location to feel supported and just like you're at home when you need mental health care. The kitchen is fully staffed. We have our very experienced chef who is there daily to serve our clients.
My name is Joel Hernandez, and I'm the chef here in the facility to make sure everybody eats correctly and on time.
If you or a loved one need mental health services, we will be happy to talk with you. You can reach us at our house number. Our house number is 805-765-4099, and we have our website at stonehealing.health.
Awesome. So those are some local resources for anybody who is in need. Go ahead and check them out. And once again, I'll share that information those ads will be up on Instagram. So next, my next guest is Arcelia Martinez from NAMI, Ventura County. Hi, Arcelia. Oh, I think your sound, you might be muted.
There we go. Hi, Inez.
Hi. Thanks for joining us. So, can you share with us what exactly that you do at NAMI, and what does NAMI do?
Absolutely. So NAMI is NAMI Ventura County. The acronym NAMI is the National Alliance on Mental Illness, and it is a national organization, but our local affiliate, NAMI Ventura County, offers the three pillars. We offer support groups, we offer classes, and advocacy at like our local city level, to people who are experiencing a mental health condition. It has to be a severe mental health condition. Whether they're diagnosed or not, it doesn't matter. And all of these services are also for the family members. Family being the word that we like to open up. So it's not just blood family, it's any family. If your neighbor is with you every day, checking in with some tea and catching up, but they are someone around you, that is considered your family. Um, so these are services that we provide for anyone, and again, diagnosed or not.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't realize that part about whether or not they're diagnosed. So I personally found out about NAMI because Oxnard High School had some workshop and there was a lady sharing her story there. And she had a bunch of slides. It was an amazing presentation, but it was also quite educational because I don't think I would have known anything about signs and symptoms and things to look for or even what to do. And I definitely feel like it helped educate me. And now I recognize things in people around me, or even if I feel like myself may feel like a little low or whatnot. So I definitely appreciate what you guys do. And the thing about that was the workshop was amazing. It was educational and it was free. Like it was at the high school. And then there was one at Bethel AME Church, and I think that might have been around 2018 or something. They do a women's health fair every year, and I think they invited you guys to come out. So thank you so much for what you do in equipping and educating our community individuals, because we need to know what it is that you guys share. So so you said that you guys offer support classes, support groups, classes, and advocacy. So those are your three pillars here. Um, would you like to share a little bit more about that?
Yes. And I will backtrack a second and say my title is volunteer. I help specifically the Spanish speaking community on the Spanish line. And now going to what we offer, the classes, we do offer 8-week classes for, again, family members and for the person struggling with the mental health condition. Sorry about that. The classes are, like I said, 8 weeks, 1 hour a week. 2 hours a week for 8 weeks. And people have to sign up through the website at namiventura.org. And then on the first page, depending whether you speak Spanish or not, you can look for classes or go to the Spanish site. And then for the English one, I don't have a schedule right now of when they'll start, but for the Spanish ones, those we are planning to do one soon in the next couple months. And again, the same thing, people to sign up ahead of time so that we have a list to notify people. For the support groups, the English one currently is on Zoom. One of them is on Zoom. I think that is the peer one, the one for the person with the illness. And the English one for family members, I do believe that one is in person. And any information anyone wants, it's best for them to go to our website. For the Spanish speakers, we do have one only for the family members, and it is in person. That one is here in Oxnard on C Street, C and 5th, right behind Tacos del Diablo, at the Turning Point Foundation, their Oxnard Clubhouse. If they can go to our website, register under the Spanish page and scroll down. And for the Spanish speakers, unfortunately, at the time, for the peer, for the person with the mental health condition, we don't have a support group. It's really tough for in our Spanish speaking community, because of the taboo subject, for anyone with the condition to kind of step out of the comfort zone and want to be in a support group. And so that one is a challenge for us to try to first break through the conversation and break through the stigma. Um, but it is something that we, if people are willing to come out, we offer it. The why it's a struggle at times to offer these classes and support groups is because they are volunteer led. NAMI Ventura County is a tiny staff of only 2 people. At times we've had, 4 or 5, but it is based on donations, so it fluctuates. And what that means is that majority of the programming is offered by volunteers. So unless someone's willing to, donate their time and be consistent and then be in a place where they can be there for everyone else, that's the challenge for the peer groups, whether it's a class, a support group, and even more so in the Spanish community. That's why Spanish speaking community. That's why when I came across them while I was filming a project, a mental health project, I felt very strongly, and I saw that we need the Spanish speaker, even just someone on the resource line, to at least let everyone know, oh, okay, there's someone there that can answer my question. And hopefully that can snowball into people feeling comfortable to continue to reach out to NAMI and now also participate. So, yeah.
Right.
I hope I answered your question.
You did. I do have another question, and I don't know if it's going to be included in your slides, so you can tell me that. So we talk about peer groups and we're talking about family groups. Can you explain a little bit about what's done there so people know?
Yeah, okay. So first I do want to come back and say that any support group or class that we offer is for adults, but I will later share a couple resources for children and their parents. For example, in a support group, I will go off of the Spanish one because I was there recently. In a support group, they show up. It's about an hour and a half, once, twice a month, and they start. It's led by volunteers. So the family one has a family member who has a family member that has a diagnosis. So they're in it with you. They're in the conversation with you. It's not led by a therapist. That's kind of their own moment and in time. But this group is specifically for you to feel like there's community and others that are experiencing what you're experiencing. So in our Spanish support group, you're going to come in. A fellow family member is going to be at the front of it, guiding it. You start off with remembering the group rules so that we all stay within the conversation and we respect each other and we remember that things are confidential and they are not to be spoken outside of this group. So we start with the rules. Then everybody kind of shares a little bit of what's going on. If there's a particular issue that someone needs to get off their chest, it's up to the group what they're going to address that day. So if you have something going on, you want to kind of pitch your situation, and it might be something that multiple people are going through in that day, and then the group decides and they discuss the topics, and they're there to help each other. It's not telling each other what to do, or oh well you should do this, oh what about that, you should call over there. It's more in a conversation of, oh, I dealt with this at one point and this is what worked for me. I'm putting it here on the table and you decide if you take it or not. It isn't meant to feel like you're being lectured, anything like that. And vice versa, when, say I take the information as a family member, I go, I try, it didn't work. I'm not going to come out and bash it. I'm going to say, oh, I took your advice, or I decided to try it. For me, it did or didn't work. And it's a moment of sharing because each family member's situation is very different, just like each person with a diagnosis is very different. And I think Tony was mentioning, it's a trial and error. We have to try things and not give up. And that's what the support group is there to do, is to keep us accountable, cheer us on, because in this topic, yes, the trial and error really pushes us to, sometimes lose little hope and we have to stay above it. We have to remember that we must keep going and accept that we have to try things until we find something that works. And the classes are a little different. The classes, like I said, it's a group of people that meet 2 hours for 8 weeks, once a week for 8 weeks. And the leaders, the volunteers leading the class are, if it's a family class, family members. If it's a peer class, they are peers. But they are going off of the NAMI the national organization's rubric, basically, the curriculum. Because we want everyone to know that no matter what NAMI they go to in California and Florida and New York, they're going to get the same information. So we follow the
Right.
curriculum, right? We have those are a little bit more of a lecture. But
Yeah.
it's because it's a lot of information, but it helps all of these people start building a network in the class and they get to know people.
Okay, so it sounds like it's a really good support unit. Somewhat reminds me of like AA or Al-Anon, like, having people
Yeah.
that are, because they've experienced it, now helping others because they've actually walked the walk, and also having the support of family members that have gone through that. Um, did you have anything? Are we going to go through your slides, or we, okay, let's go
Yeah,
ahead
I'd
and,
love to, and I can make it a little quicker than what they normally would take.
okay, that'd be great. And then, yep. Once I had one more question for you, but I'll
Yeah.
ask you at the end of your presentation.
Okay, so let me go ahead and share my screen with you. And all right, I'm not sure why there's black, but let me do my best. Okay, so the first
Okay.
slide is, all right, let's see. Let's figure out what's gonna happen here. Well, the first slide is a welcome, and the second slide is a it's information. Here, I do apologize. Let me just get situated for everyone. The second slide is information on. Oh, okay. I think you guys can see this. Let me see.
Now I can. Yeah. At first I was just seeing the first one, but now I see the second one.
Yeah, I think it's moving a little slow, so I'll try to go a little slow. So if you're seeing the slide that says the number 40, the NAMI in general, NAMI Ventura County has been here for 40 years. They are based, so the NAMI National is based off of Arlington and Virginia. And after the national level, the headquarters, each state has a NAMI. Ours are California's NAMI is in Sacramento. And then outside of that, each county or city, whichever chooses to do this, makes their own affiliate. So in our case, we have just NAMI Ventura County and we cover everyone. Other cities such as Los Angeles, they have several, they have like 5 affiliates because they're so big and they need to kind of pocket out. But they like I mentioned earlier, we all work together. We want to do that so everyone's getting the same information no matter what's going on. After that, let's see, make sure we've got the next slide. The next slide is, what do you do when you don't know what to do? We like to go out to resource fairs and let people know that we're so if you happen to see this, you'll see us out and about around town. However, you might be that link to someone who's needing help. When we don't know what to do, if we are in a state of mind where we can be proactive, get on the internet. There's several resources that you could try. Some of them lead back to us. We always tell people to call 988-211, our website, namiventura.org, and see what information will serve you, and you go from there. Okay, there we go. Whoops, fast. All right, I already went through the pillars of what we offer. And this is just a fun slide to, how do we think about mental health? Let's remember that for many communities, it is a taboo subject, and we are faced with, we don't want to talk about it. We have emotions, we feel some kind of way about it, and we need to do our best to talk about it amongst each other. We always want to remind everyone that our programs are 100% free. As I mentioned earlier, we are volunteer peer-led. You can register online, and everything is confidential, and we do have tech support. This slide with it's titled At a Glance. I apologize, you can hear the sirens going. So the slide that's titled At a Glance, you will see the different programs in addition to support groups, classes, and general advocacy. We do have other programs that we love to put on. It just depends on staffing and volunteers. We have something called Community Cares. If you keep track on our website, you will see when the next one is. It's a basic presentation like this one with a little more, led by one of our staff members, Kimmy. She's amazing. So I would say keep tabs on us when you can. Something that we do as well is called In Our Own Voice. Those are presentations to specific groups by people who have a diagnosis and are living with it. They are succeeding with it. So it's not a sad story. We try to show what it looks like when someone is leading a full, healthy life, while they're also working what they need to be doing. The next one, this is how to get in contact with us. We have the staff members. Our executive director is Roberta. We have Kimberly, the community education and communication specialists. And then we have myself. I mostly assist Spanish speakers on the Spanish line. And then we had a program coordinator, but we are in flux at the moment. And you'll see the phone numbers that you can call, whether it's the office for Spanish or the general resource line for English. We hope that you can reach out, check out our website. It has more in detail information. I would encourage everyone to go to it under, I think, the general information, because it talks about all of the types of severe mental health. When people think mental health, they just think depression, and there's more versions of that. We've got schizophrenia, bipolar depression, and so it's very helpful for everyone to just kind of take a minute, go to the website, look at it, because it has so much more. Yes, if they have any questions, this is how they can reach us. We have our general info@namiventura.org email. Shoot your questions that way, and one of us will answer it.
Thank you. Awesome. And also, they would reach out to you guys if they were wanting to donate because you guys ran off of donations, right? So for donations or any kind of support, also reach out to NAMI at that email address. Okay, we're going to bring everybody on together. Thank you, Arcelia. We're going to bring everybody on together for a couple of questions, a couple of general questions. Hey, everyone. Welcome back. All right, so I have a couple questions for you all. So what are some signs to look for in yourself and others around you that indicate that there may be some battles with mental health?
Well, I'll answer that. Normally, especially if you have loved ones that are dealing with, let's say, more severe mental illness, it usually starts when they're in their late teens, early 20s. And at that time, you'll start to see behavioral changes. And it can be where they're isolating, they are they change as far as their demeanor. They're not participating in things like they used to. Maybe there's so many issues. Sometimes they're become paranoid, or maybe they're starting to not want to get out of bed in the morning because they're depressed. With anxiety, they're feeling so out of sorts. There's pacing. There's staying up late at night. So there's a lot of issues that will start to manifest. And if you start to see a little thing, sometimes people will say, you know what, I'm starting to hear things. And a lot of times the parents or the loved ones will think it's just drugs. And so you have to kind of rule everything out before you decide exactly what it is. But pay attention to those signs of just different behavior that is different from what you've been used to seeing. And it's the same thing with
That's
your
really
own
good.
health. When you start to feel a little out of sorts, it's like, what's going on with me that's different? Don't ignore signs.
Thank you. That's really good.
Yeah,
Okay. Did,
it's really
okay. Did,
beautiful. Yeah,
did
yeah.
you have
I
something?
wanted to kind
Sorry.
of piggyback on that as well. That sometimes we are seeing the signs of a more what's considered a more moderate to severe mental health condition, and it's also good to know that everything is in a gamut, right? That for a lot of folks, if we are experiencing some changes in our sleep pattern, in our eating pattern, feeling more irritable, just not feeling like you're really wanting to do things, or feeling blah, it's just like kind of like, oh, everything's great, those are also signs that there is that you need to tend to yourself, right? So I think it's important to take stock of those things, and those are really our body's way of calling us to attend and to tune into ourselves.
It's so true. That's such a good point. So
Mhm.
basically, if you notice something's different, and I think that's hopeful. I think a lot of times people either not only brush it off sometimes, but they're afraid, or they just think it's going to pass, and not realizing that going and getting support can offer them a better quality of life, like sooner than later, right? Um, I'm glad that we're having the discussion though, because there are people who experience those, especially there's a lot of people with sleep that are having issues with sleep for whatever reason, and that's a sign. And I think sometimes we think, oh, it's hormones, or it's, whatever it is, but that's a reason to go ahead and seek help. Not getting enough sleep can really mess. I know I get irritable, and that's just me personally. I have to get enough sleep, and because after so many days of it, I do become like an irritable person and can get a little bit moody. Um, One thing I realized when I was going through that depression in 2013 was that I was tired a lot, and I struggled because I felt like I was lazy or something. Like I felt guilty for needing to get sleep and actually honor what my body was showing me. Like Patty said, like that's your body's way of saying it's time to tend to yourself. And I had to fight my own, have a paradigm shift to realize you're tired, you need to go to sleep. Your body needs this extra rest to overcome whatever it is you're going through right now. And I think we need to honor that and pay attention to ourselves.
Mhm.
I like that. It's a way to show that to tend to yourself, right? God designed us in a way where it's all there, where our bodies show us. Um,
Can I add to that a
so
little bit?
yes.
What I wanted to add, and I am happy to be corrected by our fellow guests here who are professionals in the industry. What I hear from our families on the resource line is, unfortunately, around adolescent time, kids are getting into trying substances and trying things. And these parents are seeing changes, as they were mentioning, but then sometimes severe changes happen a little later in their 20s, and that there's no connection that they are tied to each other. So I would advise family members to try to open up communication lines with their children way before adolescence, because these kids are probably experiencing anxiety and they're self-medicating, as someone was mentioning, and but then the effects of that aren't sometimes shown until later, and all of a sudden they're kind of wigging out, flipping out, and the symptoms are at that point like a high level. And so that's when we get phone calls from family members in distress of what to do, how to help them. So at the end of the day, even if the symptoms started later, we have to be mindful that sometimes certain substances are what ignite these things to happen.
Absolutely.
That's so true.
Absolutely.
Such a good point. Glad that you brought that up. And that's something we should be talking about, right? So my next question is, how can people seek help? Who do you call, or what do you do if you or somebody adult or child, needs some help?
I'd love to address something just because NAMI only helps adults, but I wanted to put it out there that there are apps now, and they are for free, that can help parents and their kids. So one of the apps is called Bright Life Kids. That is for little ones up until about, I think, 12, and for the parents. So the parent has to be the one accessing this app, because the people on the other side of the app are helping the parent with any like behavior things that they see. Now, 13 and up, there's an app called Soluna, and then that one, the child can access it themselves. They don't need a parental permission, and the people on the app, the professionals, there's confidentiality, but they're protecting the child as well. These are legitimate apps, so parents don't have to worry about that. But the child can access them, and then they'll be given some advice, but they're also being assessed to see if there needs to be more help from a professional, a local office, etc. And meanwhile, the child, because sometimes these like we'll say schizophrenia comes on before you're 18, but we can only help adults. So in the meantime, there's now more resources such as these two apps to help the parents and the family members and the person hopefully get a handle on things. But if not, I'll let my other colleagues here give you information, and then I'd love to come back and fill in some spots of some other things I've found out along the way.
Thank you for that. Thank you for bringing up the part for children. That's something that I hope that children can be more educated, because they're experiencing this a lot more than at least I remember seeing. Children with anxiety and depression and childhood suicide as well, which is, like
Social
devastating.
media. Yeah, social media is a culprit for that. They get on Instagram and some of these different platforms, and they look at other kids like everything is wonderful, and then they think there's something wrong with them, or they think they don't look good enough, or sometimes they're bullied on social media. So social media is a real huge culprit to some of the mental health issues that are happening with kids.
That's such a good point, because they do have that. And then I also believe, and I don't have like the exact studies, but too many electronics, I think, too much exposure to electronics doesn't allow for, I think it's the frontal lobe, a certain part of the brain they're finding is not fully developing, that part that has to do with emotions, that part that has to do with decision making, that this generation that's growing up on electronics, like that part of their brain's not developing the way it would have without all of the electronics. So I know that has an impact, because their brains aren't fully developed until 25, right? I mean, our brains aren't fully developed till 25, if I'm correct. Okay. You guys, I have a business degree, so okay. Well, we're gonna I'm like, I mean, I have a child development degree as well, but so real quick, I do want to say if somebody needs help right away, right? I know that there's a crisis line. You would call 988 if you needed suicide help. Oh, somebody asked a
Mhm.
question too. And then should I read it? Is it going to stay up there? How do you distinguish the signs and symptoms from typical teenage behavior? A lot of isolation, withdrawal, moodiness seems to be what a lot of teens experience. I can't read that. The
Says
last line. Can
how
you
do
guys see
we
that?
know?
Yeah, it's such a challenge, right? Because like the echo what's been said before, that a lot of it is trial and error, right? Because you're not going to know. Some of these things could be manifesting if there's a mental health condition occurring, and it can also be, maybe there's drugs, maybe there's bullying, maybe there's the effects of social media. So we're whole people, and all of these things are affecting us. So I think the takeaway from that is, how do we know, right, when it's a mental health condition or other things. Maintaining that communication with your teen is so, so important. And I think it's really important to just acknowledge that many teens do not have the supports in place within their family system. So, for all of us, whether it's our immediate family or friends, teachers, find your people, right? That is so, so integral for all of us, because the supports from a therapist, from a doctor, from professionals, that's one layer. But the most important and integral layer is really the natural supports that we build for ourselves. And that's something that as parents we have to do, young adults, teens, kiddos, find your people, find those people that are supportive. Connection, we're really wired for connection as humans, right? And that is a huge protective factor for many things, and to help us lead a healthy life. So, that's really the takeaway: communication, connection, find your people. That's huge.
Right. Community. Keep saying it. Like we need community. Ever since COVID, maybe a little bit before, I feel like we still are struggling to reconnect, as people.
Can I add on
So
there as well?
of course.
Super quick. To try to answer her the best we can, I always like let the adults around me know. For example, I have nieces and nephews now that are teenagers that are, some are getting into adulthood, some are coming into teenage years. And I think also looking back as, when I was at their age, what could I use? I think we want to, as adults in the lives of these children and teenagers, take a look at how many times we're looking to interact with them. Do we check in with them, depending who you are, the parent or, aunt or someone, on a just a personal human level, not a authority figure, and see if that helps build the communication to just be more open. But to answer the woman's question, I think it depends on like how many times we attempt to just have communication with them, just be people and show them we're people as well, and how many of those times are they just, do they brush you off? Are they trying to just gauge if they can trust you or not? Um, and or it's not just brushing off, but they're being aggressive, like they're being, very much more pushy and much more rude or mean. And and can we, as the adults in their lives, do we have the skills to just go, hey, I sense this. Is everything okay? And I think if we allow that to happen, it'll show us whether that trust can be built and they can say, okay, yeah, sorry, it's being rude, or will they flip out and they will overreact to kind of what's being asked. And then from then adults can kind of gauge, okay, this is something severe, or okay, they're just having a bad day, I'll try again tomorrow. Because at the end of the day, it's communication, and the adult as well has to be in a mindset that can receive what the child or teenager is giving, and they're going to test us to see if they can trust us or not. So just keep that in mind.
Mhm.
That's true. Consistency, availability, communication, transparency. And then also, I say community because that same message, like a child may not talk to that parent, but they may talk to that really cool aunt or uncle or cousin, So it's good to have community that's on the same page, trusting adults that they can go to.
And
Okay,
I'll throw
well,
in there,
uh
sorry, just for closing, what
okay.
we do in our classes is try to teach not necessarily vocabulary, but how to use words in a way where we're not pushing them away. With someone with severe mental health, the way we communicate is huge. And as I mentioned earlier, in our support groups, instead of saying, hey, you look upset, what's happening? We teach each other to speak in a way that's not threatening to someone, especially when they're having an episode. So in our classes, we would, for example, like I mentioned earlier, just calmly come out and say, hey, I noticed you were stressed out, you're answering a bit with attitude, is everything okay? Or I noticed this, or I the words that we like to use is say, I remember being in that age. I remember the same thing happening, and I dealt with it in this way. So I think our classes, even if the person that you're worried about isn't an adult yet, our classes can really help family members learn the method to speak with them in a way that's not threatening. In case situations get worse, they're already prepared for that. But again, it takes the adult to be in a place where they themselves have worked through any taboo, any resistance that they feel around mental health or therapy. So we encourage them and let them know they're safe, they can come and learn, and hopefully then pass that on to the next generation.
That's awesome. That's a good point. And establishing that vocabulary and communication before an episode is definitely beneficial. And that way it's already there, right? And you know what intent is. Um, okay, so I do want to make sure that we do share. So who would you call for help if you knew somebody who was needing support? Where would you point? What direction would you point them in to go get support for mental health? Anybody?
Um, Well, if it's a crisis, then let's say a person has a real severe episode where they feel like they really need some real help. Crisis line, which is the 866-998-2243, which would be the actual crisis team. Okay. Now, what I always would tell people, if somebody is in a really severe episode, and a lot of people will be afraid to call law enforcement to help because they're afraid of what could happen. What the thing to do is always call, if you call 911 for, there's a crisis going on, always ask for the CIT officer. They are like the crisis intervention officers that know about mental health. And then along with that, call the crisis team. And when you call the crisis
Okay.
team, you let the crisis team know, I've already called the law enforcement, because they're going to say, if the person is in a severe episode, they're going to call them anyway. So if you or they'll say, oh, you need to just call law enforcement. So if you call both, then you're pretty much covered.
That's awesome. That's such good information. I don't think people realize that, right? Because there's an episode, people are like, call the police, but you need to ask for the CIT officer. That's key.
Mhm.
I've seen it happen good and bad ways. Um, thank you for that. So once again, I'm going to say, so that's for crisis. We talked about the NAMI resources. We talked about calling a therapist. So crisis is like immediately, you need immediate help like now. Um, if the suicide prevention line is 988, so you would call that. And then also local here, 211 is resources of all sorts, but you can also get mental health resources there. I think I covered that. Did I get
If
that, you guys?
let's yes, but also let's say they have like moderate to severe mental health issues, and they're not in a crisis, but they just are seeking services. You can call the access line, which will kind of direct you to the right resource or the clinic that you would need help from. And the access line is also the same number that you will call for the crisis team.
Okay, that's that 866 99.
888-2243.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. All right, you guys, we're gonna go into, I have a couple more of ads, resources to share, and we're gonna go ahead and wrap up for the evening. Thank you, guys. All right, so we have another therapist ad, Granisha Holmes. Granisha offers psychological counseling to individuals, families, and couples ages 12 to 99 years. Her approach working with clients is centered on creating a compassionate, collaborative, and empowering therapeutic environment. She believes in meeting clients where they are and tailoring her methods to fit their unique needs and goals. Her style is integrative, drawing from various therapeutic modalities to best support each individual's journey. And her contact information is there. Next, we have Elixir Lifestyle Medicine. Elixir Lifestyle Medicine will help you feel your best. Dr. Stacy Nelson Hicks, DACM, and Alex Smith, licensed acupuncturist, treat stress, anxiety, digestive issues, headaches, women's and men's health, and orthopedic pain using traditional Chinese medicine, cupping, moxibustion, gua sha, and acupuncture to help bring you back into balance. And I will say, I myself have used Dr. Stacy for acupuncture to help with stress and blood pressure, and it has been successful, I must say. All right, so the last commercial that we have is for Dr. T and me. Dr. T Mizuno Marlboro has spent 18 plus years helping individuals and couples find breakthrough, deep restoration, and real love when nothing else worked. Clients call her work like nothing they've ever seen. Visit Dr. T and me for exclusive courses or book your session today. And we have a commercial from her.
If you've ever struggled with people-pleasing or self-criticism, you've got to get this course. What was revealed to me was so crazy, I never would have thought that at the root of so many of the blocks was intimidation. That's not a word we like. We want to run away from it. But let me tell you something. There was a time in my life that I was just simply walked over. I think people took advantage of me, and I just simply felt overtaken, overwhelmed, and overburdened. Money was hard to get. I guess I believed in struggle love, because that's what I had. And one day, I just poured out and I said, you know what? I don't know what to do, and I can't keep going like this. Let me tell you what happened. The Lord said to me, it's intimidation. He said most people are intimidated by the Goliaths in their life. He said most people are intimidated by what they really want in life, their own dreams, their own desires. That's why they don't have them. That's why they don't have that marriage. That's why they don't have that career. That's why they don't have that body. That's why they don't have that money. Now, there may be some other factors. This is a major contributor contributor that he revealed to me. Ooh, y'all. So then he said, I'm going to give you 4 things, 4 steps. I put it in this course. I've done all the work for you. The 4-step formula to stop intimidation in its tracks. I'm getting better treatment all over. Everything has changed. The confidence is different. The harmony is different. And you can quickly go through this in a weekend. I can guarantee you, you're going to get so much out of this. Let yourself be blessed. And I will see you in the course.
Thank you. So, that was Dr. T and me. Thank you to everybody for sharing the resources. That information will be up on my Instagram at Inez Knows, so you can go back and get their information as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe to us here on my YouTube channel so you can keep up with future podcasts that we have coming up. Now we're going to just go ahead and share more items. I have exciting news about myself for coaching, and then we're going to go ahead and get contact information, say our goodbyes and thank yous, and go ahead and wrap up this very meaningful discussion. So, in case you guys did not know, I do coaching. I have been coaching for a few years at work. So, I am now offering my services outside of work, personal coaching. It's a safe space for healing, goal setting, accountability. I specialize in teaming, conflict resolution, communication, but really, one area in particular that I say good into is healing. I'm really good at helping people walk through those tough moments in life, whether it's grief, loss. I've overcome quite an abundance of very hard things, and I'm good at helping people walk through that process and getting you to the other side, because there is another side and there's joy, and I would love to work with you. I also coach in business and leadership and things like that. So you can contact me. All of my information's there, but I am now going to be coaching clients outside of work, and I'm excited about that. Thank you. All right, so let's go ahead and bring Patricia Cortez Washington from Semillas back on. And we have a flyer for her upcoming wellness event that will be taking place in Oxnard on July 27th. She shared a little bit about that.
Yeah. Thank you
Hi.
so much for having me today. Yeah, it's been such a wonderful conversation. If folks want to get in touch with our office, we do individuals, couples. We focus on working with teens, women in leadership as well. It's not myself, but we have other clinicians at the office. We are bilingual, Spanish speaking as well. So, if folks would like to get in contact with our office, they can do so by calling us at our office. We're located in Ventura. They can also go on to our website at www.semillaswellness.com, and they can schedule a free 15-minute consultation there, so we can begin the conversation and see if either individual therapy, couples therapy, or connecting to one of our workshops is right for you.
Thank you so much. And then Arcelia Martinez, you can let everyone know how they can get in touch with you if they'd like to.
Yes, thank you again for inviting me to this conversation. I'm glad to be here, be part of it, be part of the change to help everyone talk about mental health. And for NAMI services, please follow us on Instagram at NAMI Ventura. .org and or just NAMI Ventura. The website is namiventura.org, and for Spanish speakers, for my English speaking audience, please let your Spanish speaking or somewhat bilingual friends know that for Spanish services they can go to namiventura.org/español without the ñ, just the irregular n. And so follow us, please make a donation. We're here. The website has both the office phone number and the resource line number. The Spanish speaking community can get a hold of us through the office line number. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Tony Gooden. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Inez, for having me on. I am, as far as getting in contact with me, you can DM me on my Instagram if you have questions. As far as actually doing private practice, it's closed for me right now, but I I'm working now with the county and I am doing practice or I am doing therapy with the county. But I'm also working with Project 50 with Dexter Nunnery. And I am doing therapy with that group as well. So if you do need therapy and you're participating at all with this Project 50, I am involved with that.
Thank you. That's awesome. And we also shared some other therapists that had ads. And so there are also other um, therapists that are taking clients right now. I would like to give a big thank you to Tallboy Entertainment. Um, Tallboy is the person who helped put this thing together for me and helps keep it running smooth and to my style and everything. So I want to thank you. And I also want to say he has an amazing show called The Lab Tech Show that comes out on YouTube on Wednesdays. So you would want to follow him Wednesdays at 5 o'clock Pacific time. Um, but there's a lot of information that I've learned that has helped me in my tech savviness, but it's information that's good to everybody. So thanks for joining us on this meaningful conversation. There is so much to unpack on this topic. I feel like I will have to do a part two at some time. Thank you so much to my guests. Thank you to everybody who purchased still ads and commercial ads and shared your information to help us create and share resources to make mental health resources available to equip our communities and help people be well and let them know that they're not alone. Want to help remove the stigma because everybody goes through challenges. And I'm just going to end with what I love to say if you follow me. Oh, there's the Hardeen. There's the information for the wellness event that will be taking place in Oxnard on Heritage Square on July 27th. It's what Patty was talking about, Patricia. The information is there. There's a QR code. You can also find it on our Instagram. Please RSVP. Like she said, there is an amazing speaker. There's going to be a panel, activities, and it's going to be just a joyous day of wellness. So make sure to come to that. So be kind to others and be kind to yourself. We're all in this together. Take care of yourself, have grace. And until next time, you guys, thank you so much for spending this time with us and be well.
What happens in waves? We roll with the flow. Twist and turn we go. Find strength inside the lows. We turn the tables, lemons to lemonade. Host of our own show.